In the quiet village of Rupite, nestled in Bulgaria's Koju Mountains, a girl named Vangelia Pandeva Dimitrova was born in 1911. Later known as Baba Vanga, she would become a global legend. As a child, a violent storm swept her into the air, filling her eyes with sand and leaving her blind. This tragedy, however, was believed to have gifted her with the ability to see the future. Known as the blind mystic, Baba Vanga guided millions throughout her life, her prophecies earning her worldwide fame. She is said to have predicted events like World War II, the 9/11 attacks, and Princess Diana's death. Vanga passed away in 1996, but her visions stretched as far as the year 5079. Our story begins in April 2025 with Elif, a young history student from Istanbul. Driven by curiosity and idealism, Elif stumbles upon Baba Vanga's prophecy for 2025 during a university seminar. The beginning of the end. The prediction haunts her. Vanga's forecasts of a major war in Europe, a breakthrough in telepathic communication, and contact with extraterrestrial life spark Elif's imagination. Determined to uncover the truth behind these prophecies, Elif decides to travel to Bulgaria, to the village where Vanga was born. Her journey is not just about verifying predictions, it becomes a deeply personal quest. As Elif steps into Baba Vanga's mysterious world, she prepares to navigate the intersection of history and the future, unaware that this journey will transform her understanding of both. Elif set out early one morning, boarding a bus from Istanbul to Bulgaria. The journey would take several hours, but her mind buzzed with questions, making the trip feel shorter. Among Baba Vanga's 2025 prophecies was a prediction of a major war in Europe, often linked to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Elif wanted to determine if this prophecy was coming true. She was also intrigued by Vanga's predictions about scientific breakthroughs and extraterrestrial contact, telepathy, lab-grown organs, and alien encounters. Though these had not yet materialized, Elif wondered how much of Vanga's visions might unfold by the end of 2025. Upon arriving in Rupite, Elif was immediately struck by the village's serene, mystical atmosphere. Baba Vanga's house, converted into a museum in 2008, welcomed visitors. Stepping inside, Elif found a world filled with old belongings and photographs from Vanga's life. An elderly museum caretaker began sharing Vanga's story. The storm that blinded her as a child had taken her sight, but, according to legend, granted her the gift of foresight. Elif was surprised to learn that Vanga's prophecies were never written down. They were all based on oral accounts, which fueled debates about their accuracy. At the museum, Elif read one of Vanga's sayings: "Everything will melt like ice, only one thing will remain untouched." This was a prophecy Vanga reportedly shared with a Russian journalist in 1979, often interpreted as a prediction of Vladimir Putin's rise as a global leader. Reflecting on the escalating conflict in Ukraine and rising tensions in Europe, Elif couldn't dismiss the possibility that this prophecy might relate to 2025. However, Vanga's predictions were often vague and open to interpretation. Elif felt she needed more information to understand if these words held a different meaning. Leaving Rupite, Elif traveled to Sofia to meet Dimitar, a historian who had studied Vanga's prophecies for years. Welcoming her to his office, Dimitar shared details of Vanga's 2025 predictions. According to Vanga, 2025 would mark the beginning of the end. A major war in Europe would drastically impact the continent's population. Dimitar suggested that the ongoing conflict in Ukraine might align with this prophecy, but he cautioned that Vanga's visions often required broader interpretation. Perhaps the war isn't a physical conflict, but an ideological divide, he mused. Elif found this perspective intriguing, but still sought concrete evidence. Dimitar also discussed Vanga's scientific predictions. She had foreseen a breakthrough in telepathic communication by 2025, enabling mind-to-mind interaction. Additionally, there would be a revolution in growing human organs in labs. Elif knew these advancements hadn't yet occurred, but with 2025 still unfolding, she considered the possibility of a scientific surprise. Dimitar then mentioned one of Vanga'S most striking prophecies, contact with extraterrestrial life, which she claimed would happen during a major sporting event. Elif found this prediction fantastical, but couldn't suppress her curiosity. After leaving Sofia, Elif decided to investigate the current situation in Europe to better understand Vanga'S war prophecy. In April 2025, the conflict in Ukraine was still raging. The US and UK had supplied Ukraine with long-range weapons, while Russia responded with new missile deployments, raising fears of a broader conflict. Elif wondered if this escalation matched Vanga'S prediction of a major war in Europe. Yet knowing Vanga'S prophecies were often symbolic, she considered whether the war might represent an economic or cultural collapse instead. To explore the scientific aspects of Vanga'S predictions, Elif headed to London to attend a neuroscience conference. There, she learned about researchers working on brainwave-based communication. While mind-to-mind telepathy wasn't yet possible, the progress was promising. A scientist Elif met remarked, "Telepathy might be closer than we think." Elif couldn't help but notice how this aligned with Vanga'S prophecy. The conference left her optimistic that this vision might soon come true. Next, Elif traveled to the US to investigate Vanga'S extraterrestrial contact prophecy, which was supposedly tied to a major sporting event. She attended a basketball game in April 2025. Nothing extraordinary happened during the match, but Elif pondered if the prediction might be symbolic. Perhaps extraterrestrial contact represented humanity's growing understanding of the universe. Recalling NASA's recent efforts to explore Venus as an energy source, Elif wondered if Vanga'S mention of Venus in her prophecies could be interpreted in this context. Elif's journey had taken her on both a historical and scientific quest. Vanga'S prophecies sometimes seemed vague, other times eerily accurate. But Elif began to see beyond their literal truth, focusing instead on their impact on humanity. Vanga'S words encouraged people to think about the future, to prepare, and perhaps to strive for a better world. Through this journey, Elif also experienced a personal transformation. Her curiosity had not only driven her to chase prophecies, but also led her to reflect on humanity's shared destiny. By the end of her journey, Elif realized that Baba Vanga'S prophecies were more than just predictions of the future. They were warnings, guides, and sources of inspiration for humanity. 2025 might indeed be the beginning of the end, as Vanga described, but Elif believed this end didn't necessarily mean an apocalypse. Perhaps it signified the close of an old era and the dawn of a new one. The conflicts in Europe, scientific advancements, and humanity's efforts to reach beyond Earth seemed to align with Vanga'S visions, though much remained open to interpretation. Returning to Istanbul, Elif decided to compile her research into an article. She connected Vanga'S prophecies to historical contexts and current events, offering a perspective on humanity's future. Her article garnered significant attention, both in academic circles and among the general public. Elif noticed that Vanga'S prophecies brought people together. They sparked curiosity, fear, and hope in equal measure. Vanga'S legacy became a bridge uniting these emotions. For Elif, Baba Vanga'S prophecies marked the start of a transformative journey. It wasn't just a historical quest, but an exploration of humanity's collective fate. Vanga'S words would continue to echo through the centuries, and perhaps curious souls like Elif would find inspiration in these prophecies to shape a better future. Vanga'S mysterious world would remain a mirror reflecting humanity's fears and hopes, a timeless reminder of the power of vision and the importance of understanding our shared path.